Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the rookie tier list video. I'm your host as always, Cody the Hangman Heinzman. And before we get started with part 2 of the tier list, I'm going to add a little bit of a caveat at the beginning of this video. I'm going to try to do my tier list a little bit without going into spoilers too much. But I am going to talk spoilers. So, how I'm going to combat this, in case you are watching this video and don't want spoilers, I plan on putting a spoiler tag, and I probably am not pointing at the spoiler tag right now, but I'm going to put a spoiler tag up. If you see that spoiler, I'm talking about spoilers. If it's gone, you're free to listen to the video again if you are looking to avoid spoilers. Get it? Got it? Good. We're going to move on and start the tier list video. Hello everyone, future Cody the Hangman Heinzman here. Just putting a little insert here to say that I started this tier list video towards the beginning half of Season 8. And Season 8 has well and happened, so some of the things that I talk about is a bit dated. So just need this little insert here saying that I started this project before some of the things in Season 8, and some of what I talk about is going to be a tiny bit dated. I still hope you enjoyed the video. Back to past Cody the Hangman Heinzman. So starting off where we left off, we are going to start with Henry. We ended the last video talking about Abigail. We're starting this one with Henry. And I'm going to put him in the C tier, which is the mid-tier category. And I feel he falls into mid-tier because he started being underutilized in the show. We haven't seen him in a good while in the show. So that's where I feel he falls, and if we get to see more of him, we'll see. But I don't know if he could move from that mid-tier. But he, for the most part, has been a good character. And, the idea of his heart defect was a good angle, and having that whole episode, that was very well done. I really liked that episode going into that. So I'm going to say Henry goes into mid-tier category. Moving on, we're going to talk about Lucy's mother in the show. And I have to put her in trash tier. For her not to be supportive of Lucy's endeavors, it just does not rub me the right way. Her mom just is trash, in my opinion. And another parent that falls into the trash tier as well, moving on quickly because there's not much more to say. Tim Bradford's father, he also falls into trash tier. Now, do I think the character played him well? Yes, the actor played the character well. But for the one episode that we see of Tim Bradford's father, he's just trash. For him being abusive and cheating on his wife, Everything about this man is just trash. Let's talk about someone more likable now. Selena Juarez. And she has to go on Grew on Me tier. Now, reason she goes and Grew on Me and not really like is her first episodes are kind of rough for her. That first episode that she shows up and she pulls over that lady because of a feeling was, I guess, I mean, it was okay because she was a rookie. But at the same time, it really plays against her character. Being that, with her being a rookie at that, she really needed to not be like wanting to be a different police officer at the beginning. Really needed to learn the fundamentals. And she comes around. And I know some people do not like her New Age spirituality, gypsy type stuff. But I like that as her character. And she defines it well, that she plays it down now. It's not so in everyone's face. So I think she's a really likable character. But her first season, just, you had to, gotta give her some time. Up next, we're gonna talk about Donovan, Nyla Harper's ex-husband, and I put him in trash tier, but I don't know why I did that, and everything was already made. So if I was to go back and fix it, I actually would put him in meh tier. I don't know why. I thought when I was writing this stuff down and everything, I thought I put him in meh tier. But apparently, I put him in trash tier. And so I'm going to give him my reasons that I would move him to meh, but he stays in trash. Is, he tried to move away whenever he was getting married and going against the custody. Tried at every pass to keep Harper away from her daughter. And it's understandable to a point, given everything that happened with Nyla Harper and why he would want to keep her away. But seeing Nyla's character does not scream a bad mother to me. So I don't think it was right for Donovan to try and keep their daughter away from her. And so that's what puts him in the meh trash tier area. But I don't think he was a bad character either. Am I glad that we don't see him much anymore? Yeah, kinda. There's no reason to keep him around on the show, to be honest. So moving on, we're going to talk about Bailey. And I have her in the really like tier. I really like Bailey Noon. And that seems to be a controversial stance. A lot of people are not liking her after season 7, season 8 happenings. And I can agree to a point with some people's thoughts on this. Like, when she was approached by... Well, let's get back to that thought here in a second. Let's talk about the first thing that turns weird with her. Is when we find out she's married and her husband was in prison and comes out. She never got the divorce, was still technically married. That could be a thing, a point against her. I guess I understand why she doesn't end up telling John about it at first. But on the subject of that is when her husband does escape from prison and the hitman gets Malvado. I couldn't think of his name. When Malvado gets hired to assassinate her ex-husband, who's technically still her husband because they never got the divorce, Jason, it's a little weird to me that she did not approach Nolan. And I guess she does explain it, saying no, it was a lapse of judgment. She didn't want to continue, Jason say that Malvado did not assassinate Jason, and he did end up going back to prison. He comes back out, he's going right back after Bailey. So, to an extent, I can understand her not going to Nolan and being like, hey, Malvado kind of approached me and didn't tell Nolan, hey, he's gave me this phone and everything. That's understandable. But I don't think her character has diminished. I like the character of Bailey. Even after the events of season 8, which I'm trying, with season 8 just happening, I'm trying to keep my thoughts of season 8. I'm trying to do the tier list as if season 8 isn't out, since it's not fully out. So I can't judge the character on season 8 character since season 8's just coming out. There's some small things here and there from season 8 that it would not change my opinion, honestly, but season 8 does do some things with her character, but I'm going to try and keep the new season out of my thoughts with this. There will be one exception to that, but that's way later in the video. So, all in all, I like Bailey. That's why she goes into the really like tier. Let's now talk about Caleb Wright. And honestly, this is one of those ones, I'm going to quickly say, he's going into D tier. He's going in meh tier. And I don't think I can talk about this character without spoilers. So, you're probably going to see the spoiler tag the entire time. So, Caleb Wright. Reason he's not in trash tier is his character is played well. But given that he is only around for, let's say, 2 episodes, is not enough to put him in mid. But him being this mastermind serial killer that you wouldn't expect, the twist of that episode is really good. Him kidnapping Lucy, almost killing Lucy, almost killing Armstrong. He was so methodical. And only reason he got caught was because of the person he was helping, Rosalind Dyer. So yeah, I have to put him in meta tier. Because everything about his character is good. It's just he's not around long enough to go any higher, in my opinion. Next up, we're going to talk about Tim Bradford's ex-wife, Elizabeth. The cautionary tale that was her. And I have her in mid-tier. I enjoy her inclusion in the show. It was interesting that we get hit with Tim having a ex-cop wife turned drug addict in the first episode, in the first season. Like, that was the biggest bombshell to drop. And I think it was done very well. Her almost getting killed in the first season, but pushing through to finally, when we see her again, getting to put on that undercover hat. Oh my gosh. Undercover hat again was so good. And her relationship with Lucy after the first interaction with them was great. It was so good to see that Elizabeth was more or less accepting of Lucy dating her ex-husband. And I don't know if we're going to see her ever again in the show, but it would be nice to see her show up every once in a while. I don't know how they would include it, but I think her inclusion, like, she should not end up being a forgotten character, in my opinion. So, if they can figure out a way to utilize her a little bit more often, that would be interesting. Next up, let's talk about Smitty. And I have him on the Gru on me. He is such a good comedic character for the show. And is such a chaos demon every time he is on screen. And it is enjoyable And the reason I have him outside of really like is he is well used in the show, but not used enough to really go into the really like. And I like him more than saying that he's in mid-tier. So I gotta go into the compromise and put him on Gru on me. He's a B. And if I have to make a bit of a theory on things, I kind of want Smitty to end up being like a dirty cop or something. He's like trading info or something to someone. I want him to become a villain. And part of what I know, I said I'm keeping season 8 out of this a little bit. But part of my thinking with thinking Smitty could possibly become a dirty cop or a crooked cop type thing is when Lucy and Tim are questioning if he's doing the weaponized incompetence, if he's being incompetent on purpose. Be the guy you least expect. And here, he's actually this big mastermind. I think it would be enjoyable to see that. But at the same time, if they want to just keep him as a joke character, I have no complaints with that either. I like Smitty. But not enough to put him in really like. Next up, we're going to talk about Ray Watkins. And I put him in trash tier. He's not around long enough. He is a good foil for the episode that he's around. Good foil for Tim and Lucy's relationship ending. But it's just lacking, in my opinion. So, I don't have much more to say about Ray Watkins. So, he's going to go into trash tier, and we're going to move forward. And move forward we will to Pete. John Nolan's brother, half brother. Don't need him breaking into the video like Skip Chaser Randy did last in part 1. Half brother, Pete. And he goes into Grew on Me tier as well. Because I feel kind of like Smitty. I can't put him into the really like because he's not utilized enough in the show. But he's not mid-tier. Mid-tier seems a little too low for me. So he's got to go in the Grew on Me tier. His help in the Halloween episode was fantastic. I loved that part of the episode. Him randomly showing up when John was in the hole, that was a good. And he's just enjoyable when he's around. We haven't seen him in quite some time either. So hopefully we get to see another episode with him in the near future. Next up, we're going to talk about Bishop. And here is one of the ones that I feel is going to be controversial. I got her in the meh tier. I'm not a real big fan of Bishop in season 1. I think I said it in part 1, but if I didn't, I'm saying it here. Season 1 is not my favorite. I don't tend to go back and rewatch season 1 all that much. So, Bishop's character takes the hit because I don't tend to go back and watch the episodes that she's in, because she's in all of season 1. And I don't like her as Nolan's training officer. Her getting in between, even though the relationship was weird as it was, for her to say that saying that, brain, for her to say that Lucy and John Nolan should not be together, that was weird. That just felt overstepping, and I guess she had a point to it, but it just felt unneeded. And since she's only around for one season, she tends to be forgettable. I mean, I don't forget who she is compared to some of these other people that were on this list that I had to look up. I remember who she is. I remember what she did in the show and everything, but when you go into later seasons, you kind of forget, oh yeah, Harper was not Nolan's first training officer. He had a training officer before Harper. And I just feel that Harper is the better character for John's training officer than for Bishop. So she's not low enough to be trash. She is enjoyable in season 1 that she's on. But at the same time, we do the what if with this. What if she was still around after season 1? And we didn't get Nyla Harper. Would she still feel right as Nolan's training officer? And I don't think that's the case. I don't think the show would have been as enjoyable without Nyla Harper as John's training officer. Alright, so next up, let's talk about Blair London. And I have her currently in Teir. She, for the time that she was there, she was an alright character. I think one of the things that keeps her so low is she wasn't around long, and I slightly feel she was underutilized and weirdly utilized. For her to turn out to be a crooked therapist feeding information, that was a blind side. I mean, they kind of introduced it when she's first introduced, that she's recording all her sessions and everything. But I just don't feel that she should have ended up becoming a crooked therapist. which leaves her where she is in meh. In fact, she ends up being blackmailed, and the weird interactions with Aaron that she had, which I argue, she said there was not feelings, but I think there may have possibly been, but she didn't want to get Aaron involved in what was going on, which is good. So, yeah, I think Blair in meh tier is suitable. Up next, we're going to talk about Doug Stanton and where he should be in trash tier because he is a racist and a bit of a narcissist and overall terrible person. I have to put him up in meh tier just for the fact that the character is done well. Is the character terrible? Yes. But the fact that they portrayed it well puts it up in meh tier. I don't like Doug Stanton at all. And I'm glad he got his comeuppance. He got what was coming to him. But the fact that it was portrayed well, it was a good foil for Jackson, puts him in meh. Next up, let's talk about the captain, who I also have in meh tier. It's going to be one of those controversial ones here. Her inclusion in season 1 was good for what it was. And she's another one of those, what would the show look like if she stuck around? And I don't know if I would personally like the show if she stuck around. There's nothing wrong with her in the show. Don't get me wrong. But if she was still around, would we have the relationship that John and Wade have? Would that still happen, or would Wade still be trying everything in his power to push Nolan out? So that is why I have to put her in meh tier. Her absence in the show does not have much staying power. She's not forgettable. They mention her at least a few times after the season that she passes in. And it was a good foil, good first death in the show for Nolan. But she's just too lacking, in my opinion. Next up, we're going to talk about Armstrong. And I have him in the mid tier. I do really like Armstrong's character. I loved Armstrong up until he gets revealed to be a crooked cop. And I just don't like the fact that he ends up being the crooked cop. His relationship with Nolan was phenomenal. I loved his work with Nolan. And I just wish that it never came around to him being a crooked cop. And maybe had a different exit for him. And that's what pushes him down. The fact that they make him a crooked cop in the show sucks. That's the only thing about his character I do not like. Next up, we're going to talk about Elijah Stone. And he's going in mid-tier. He has been a great foil for Wesley and Lopez throughout the show. And I'm interested to see what happens with him. I'm surprised that he was not included in the escape with Oscar and Jason. Like, we got that. The last time we've seen Elijah was when he got locked away finally, and he looks at Oscar and asks if he has any good revenge stories. I feel it's been too long since we've seen Elijah. I feel we should have had something sooner. And in theory, he's supposed to be in season 8. He hasn't so far, and I don't know how that's going to play in. So we'll see what happens. But as of current, Elijah, mid-tier, because he's been a good foil, but that hasn't had that staying power that some of the other people have. I like Elijah for his inclusion in the show, but he just needs a little bit more. Next up, we're going to talk about Monica Stevens. And I have her in mid-tier as well. And for her not to go too far up in the ranking is mainly because she hasn't... And I'm going to try and talk before season 8. I said it before. I'm trying to keep season 8 since it's not fully out of my thought process. She's been used well, in my opinion, in the show. And what keeps her lower is she hasn't grown on me as a character. And it's not that I don't like her character. It's just that for her inclusion in the show is great. And every time she's around, it's always interesting to see what's going to happen. I know some people would probably put her in trash, think her character is trash, and find it weird that she became this head of crime and has this knowledge of everything and is feeding it to criminals. But I like that inclusion in the show. I like Monica Stevens for her character, but not enough to put her in a really like. Next up, we're going to talk about Jason. And he also goes into mid-tier. Mainly because he's not around long. His death in the show could have been done differently. And it'd been interesting to see what happened more with it. I understand them not wanting to drag it out too much, because how much more can you play with this? But it would have been interesting to see what happened with him. Next up, let's talk about Grace. One of Nolan's ex-girlfriends in the show, Grace. And I have her in meh tier. I don't feel she offered much to the show. But she's more than trash tier. Because she's not a bad character per se. Just she really didn't add much. It didn't last long between her and Nolan. The fact that she's trying to stay in her marriage for her child is admirable, but it's just makes her inclusion in the show a bit lacking, in my opinion. Take her out of the show and you lose nothing. That's why she falls in meh. Lastly, let's talk about Wesley's mother in the show. And I have her in mid-tier. Her inclusion in figuring out Lopez and Wesley's wedding, both before they talked and after they talked, make her a strong character. Her inclusion in the Mother's Day episode makes her a strong character. And she is really likable. Do I think we need to see much more of her in the show? Little bit. Maybe a little more. But the way they've utilized her, I think they've done it well. And puts her in mid-tier status. And here is what the tier list looks like currently. Now, I know I said lastly, but after I finished up this tier video, I noticed a few missing folks that need inclusion. So, let's talk about those people. Starting off, let's talk about Angela's mother. And she goes in S tier. I love Angela's mother in the show. One of my favorite episodes is the one where she's going undercover to try and get the scammer that's scamming Nyla's mother. It is so great. Her inclusion in the episode where she gets jumped when she was going to babysit Angela's kids. Good inclusion in the show. I like Lopez's mom. I hope we see more of her in the show. She goes in S. Next up, we're going to talk about Tim's sister, Jennifer. I have her in mid-tier. She has been a welcomed inclusion to the show. It's good to see her as a regular as of late, given that she's said she was moving to Los Angeles. So it's nice to see her around more often. Her relationship with Lucy currently, that's been a plus. So yeah, I have her at mid-tier just because she is good inclusion to the show, but not enough of a presence to put her in the really like. So, mid-tier, I think, is the best place to put her. Next up, we're going to talk about Seth Ridley. And he is the one that I kind of alluded to in either part 1 or part 2. I don't remember which one I said this on. That I'm trying to keep season 8 out of my ranking for them. I have to put Seth's season 8 inclusion in this. When I made the tier list, it was before the episode came out where Miles was doing off the books surveillance and brought Ridley along with him. But that episode really boosts Ridley, in my opinion. But if we were to talk about him before season 8, I know he should probably fall into trash tier. He should fall into trash tier because he's a liar. He lied about having cancer, which all in all is a trash thing to do. And basically lied his way back into the LAPD. But what puts him in mid-tier for me was his sacrifice for Nolan and the fact that even though he did all these terrible lies, he is still a sympathetic character in the show. Like, there's no forgiving the things he lied about. But one of the things that I sit and look at is the fire episode, where the fire progressed onto Eagle Rock Road, and Ridley didn't call it in or something. I question how fully his fault it was. What was he supposed to do in that situation? Is my question. Obviously, when he was talking to Gray, he could have maybe made a mention of it. But that was after the incident already happened. So, was it his fault not listening to the radio and hearing Harper tell Lucy that they're closer and they said they were going to go to Eagle Rock? I question fully how he was in the wrong. Obviously, he should have told, Gray, whenever he went in and was, getting chastised that they needed to get water drop in that. But I still question what Ridley was supposed to do in that situation to prevent it from happening. But I still don't condone the things he lied about. But I can give him somewhat of a pass for that episode. And this new relationship with Miles that he's had in the new season has really risen him up as well. He really seems like he's actually trying to be a better person and not be the person that he was. Next up, we're going to talk about the man I've been referring to a few times, Miles Penn. And I have him on Grew on Me tier. And the reason he's in Grew on Me instead of really because I do like Miles in the show, the things that go against him is kind of his beginning performance. You know, going against orders when they had to go into the house. Being the cowboy, not listening to Tim in that first episode. You know, the kind of cocky side of Miles. But without that cocky side in that, I have enjoyed his more recent episodes. His episode where he declines to be security for the football team was a good episode. And he's really trying to prove himself. And I hope we do get to see that soon. Again, trying to keep season 8 out of it a little bit. I think the main reason we see him still as a rookie is because we haven't seen his plain clothes day yet. We have seen every single rookie's plain clothes day. So I kind of figure that's why he's got pushed and got the extension. Because we haven't seen his plain clothes day yet. And I'm curious to see if it's going to be with Nyla, or if Tim goes back with him for his plain clothes day. I figure it'll be with Nyla, but we'll just have to see. Or maybe the episode where she pretends to be his rookie is going to be considered his plain clothes day episode. So, we'll just have to see what happens with that. And this here now is what the tier list looks like at the end of the video. But before we end, I'd like to give a few honorable mentions that I happen to think about that had I not already finished the tier would have included. The first one we're going to talk about, I've got two. We're going to talk about Luna. And she's another one that we have to kind of consider season 8 in our talking with Luna. And she is an S tier. She would be one of my S tier characters. She's really likable in the show. Gets along with pretty much everyone. She's the voice of reason with Wade. And their relationship has been phenomenal up until this current season. And I think it kind of sucks to see that this happened. I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't foresee their marriage ending, but something's gonna have to happen to build that trust back up. And then the other person I would like to speak of, Glasser. And if I were to put him on the tier list, I think I would put him on mid-tier character. And he only gets mid-tier because he doesn't stick around for too long. And as of current, because we're in season 8, he's looking to potentially have a return. Because right now, Wesley is trying to convict him of his crimes and that. And it's kind of falling apart around him. So Glasser could be set free. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward. It's been nice having little Easter egg drops of Glasser's inclusion. Like the episode with the billboards. The fact that those billboards were made because of Glasser. That has been a great way to keep this character relevant. And I'm interested to see where this goes from here. But if I was to put him anywhere in the tier list, he would go currently in mid-tier. So that has been my tier list video. I hope y'all enjoy. And as always, I've been Cody the Hangman Heinzman. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. And as always, that's just how it is.